Part 55. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 541. Chapter 541 I am very good at equestrian skills. When Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci came down, he went to find the captain of the special forces. He had something to explain clearly. Zhang Junlin looked at Gu Ci. What did he say? I won't go, Gu Ci said. She knew Zhang Junlin's attitude without asking. It was impossible to allow Lu Ziwen to leave the country, and Chen Liangdong would not allow it. If Lu Ziwen really wanted to go out, maybe they couldn't stop him, but they would definitely think way to stare. Zhang Junlin nodded and looked at Gu Ziu. Gu Ziu looked like a heartless child, dozing off while hugging a pillar. Zhang Junlin said, Ziu, don't muddle through. You just said that Lu Ziwen died so many times, what does it mean not to miss once? Gu Ziu knew that his uncle would definitely ask him questions when his mother came back. He couldn't hide from him. Gu Ziu said, I'm talking nonsense, mother, believe me. The words he blurted out were so sure, how could Gu Ci and Zhang Junlin regard them as nonsense? Zhang Junlin and Gu Ci had different views on this matter. Gu Ci knew that Lu Ziwen lived for a long time, but Zhang Junlin did not. Zhang Junlin thought that Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci had only lived 2 lives. Gu Ci was not that surprised. Gu Ziu said, Dad has superpowers, and, we have all died once. Uncle, please forgive me, I said the wrong thing. Children's words are unbridled, I will not follow suit. Zhang Junlin was not satisfied with his explanation. He glanced at Gu Ci and saw that Gu Ci was thoughtful, so he did not embarrass Gu Ziu. Go to sleep. This unlucky child lacked sleep every day and didn't know what he was doing at night. They were so busy that they only had 4 hours of sleep a day and he was not sleeping. Gu Ziu was finally liberated and went to bed happily. The boss and his wife had no idea what happened at night. When they woke up, nothing changed. The Special Forces team had evacuated, and the group of people who appeared like ghosts also left the town without noticing and disappeared before their eyes. The landlady and the boss enthusiastically prepared breakfast, fearing that they would not be used to it, including corn, sweet potatoes, porridge, side dishes, various steamed buns, etc. Gu Ci and others did not mention anything about last night. Ji Sun asked, boss lady, did you sleep well last night? The landlady was sincere, I slept well, but I don't know what happened. My head hurts and I slept too deeply. The boss and his wife were also taken by the medicine. This medicine has an antidote. Even if you don't take the antidote, it will be metabolized by itself in 7 or 8 hours. After the metabolism, you will feel a little tired. This is normal. I also feel a headache, and I slept very deeply at night. Ji Xian rubbed the back of his neck. A few people were chatting and laughing, and the matter passed. Lu Ziwen acted as if nothing had happened. After the mercenary team left, he and Zhang Junlin did not discuss it. He must have not made a decision yet. Zhang Junlin was not in a hurry. His attitude was very clear and there was no need for Lu Ziwen to test. At the dinner table, there was unexpected silence. They originally had a purpose for traveling. Gu Ci's suggestion to travel was accidental. Both Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen knew that those people would not give up, no matter whether it was outsiders who were staring at them or Chen Lianzhu. The experimental data clearly told them that Lu Ziwen was an ordinary person, and the experiment could not draw any conclusions, but they still did not believe it, and felt that Lu Ziwen must be hiding something, or that they did not conduct the experiment thoroughly enough, and Gu Ci was too old-fashioned. But protecting Lu Ziwen, they couldn't get a thorough study and they wanted to try again. Chen Lianzhu lost control of the institute. He had no way to retain Lu Ziwen. If he could not retain him through honest channels, then they would have to take another path. Lu Ziwen was just guessing and could not be true. After Gu Xi proposed traveling, he and Zhang Junlin discussed that this was also a good opportunity to solve the problem once and for all. If Chen Lianjie dared to take action, they would definitely find a way to bring him down completely and kill them all so that the old Chen family could not stand up. They also noticed someone following them along the way, but did not take action. They just followed quietly, and their tracking skills were very good. They were aware of it before entering the Gobi Desert. What I didn't expect was that he wasn't Chen Lianjie's person. Lu Ziwen and Zhang Junlin were both surprised. He was actually Roosevelt's man, and he had no ill intentions and did not kill innocent people indiscriminately. Zhang Junlin knew that Roosevelt must have made an offer that Lu Ziwen could not refuse. Otherwise, Lu Ziwen would not avoid their thinking. Although Gu Xi persuaded him, she felt that Lu Ziwen was still thinking about what decision he would make. Gu Xi was not sure. Zhang Junlin and Gu Ziu had very clear attitudes. One of them represented Qiuan, the other represented Ji Dao, and Ji Xian must listen to Lu Ziwen no matter what, but emotionally, he doesn't want to betray Zhang Junlin. Hence, the atmosphere at breakfast was unexpectedly solemn. It seemed that Lu Ziwen's random decision would cause a big explosion. They all felt very special and very nervous. Lu Ziwen also noticed it, but did not point it out. He only said that he would not disappear for no reason. Zhang Junlin said, "These words are very intriguing. There is no reason, there must be a reason. Can you tell us what conditions Roosevelt proposed to you, so that you are so excited that you can't get any results even after thinking about it all night?" "Inconvenient," Lu Ziwen said, "I can only say that Roosevelt's conditions only have something to do with me. It does not involve the interests of all parties." Ji Sun didn't believe this, let alone Zhang Junlin. Gu Ziu is also very concerned about one thing: should we continue traveling? In the self-driving travel plan, there are also deserts, grasslands, and snow-capped mountains. "Go," Lu Ziwen said, "I was originally going on a trip, so of course I will go according to the plan." "Is there no problem with Mr. Zhang?" No, there was nothing wrong with Zhang Junlin, and he couldn't let Gu Ziu down. Gu Xi has always been silent, showing no emotion at all. They were traveling by car and were not in a hurry, so after breakfast, they took a rest and continued on the road. When they went out, they glanced at the other side and saw that the mercenary group's car was still in the parking lot. Ji Sun frowned. They didn't leave. Maybe they stayed up late to carry out the mission and they were catching up on sleep. Gu Ziu yawned. "I'm so sleepy." Everybody. This man was very, very smart. He fell asleep as soon as he got in the car. He was really sleepy and fell asleep in 5 minutes. Zhang Junlin also glanced at the hotel parking lot opposite. This group of people did not leave overnight. "Do you want to continue to stare at them?" It didn't matter, he left someone to keep an eye on them. After the identity is exposed, many things will not be so convenient. After they left, on the 4th floor of the hotel, the female mercenary asked, "Boss, are you still following?" "Stay where you are. This is Roosevelt's order." The general still has a glimmer of hope. Will the third master really agree? He has already refused so obviously. This is not something we should be concerned about. Standing around is too boring. Who knows when Mr. San will make a decision? Will a group of us just stay in the hotel? Mercenaries are also human beings. They came to a foreign country to perform tasks and followed them all the way. They were all nervous. Tightly, how about we keep an eye on them while traveling? It's all a self-driving trip anyway. No. The next camp is only 10 kilometers away from the town. There are many scenic spots nearby, and there is also a large horse farm. Gu Ziu likes horse riding. Not only Gu Ziu likes it, but also Gu Xi and Zhang Junlin. This race course still belongs to Zhang Junlin. Gu Xi called in advance, and the race course was ready early. Although there is no limit on the number of people allowed today, The place they play is different from the tourists. There is a large pasture and forest where they can race horses. Dad, let's go horse racing later, Guzio requested enthusiastically. Li Jiang couldn't help but add another sentence, I've never seen Mr. San riding a horse. Guzio was extremely surprised, Dad doesn't know how to ride a horse. Gu I thought about it and realized that he had indeed never seen Lu Ziwen riding a horse. Whether he could ride a horse or not was really a question. Okay, I'll race a horse with you. Guzio is a good equestrian. He has practiced equestrian since he was a child. The first outdoor event that Chen Liangdong took him to do was equestrian. He liked it very much. In addition to training with him, Chen Fei also took him to ride horses. The Chen family has a horse farm in the suburbs. Guzio is a frequent visitor. I'll give you a lap. Guzio thought to himself that his father had never ridden a horse before, so he could force him to give him a lap to prevent him from losing the victory. Lu Ziwen slowly raised his eyebrows, as if he heard some joke. As soon as Gu I saw his expression, she knew that Guzio was going to lose again. Ziu, let's compete normally. So as not to be too slapped in the face. Guzio couldn't hear what Gu I meant, Mom, I'm very good at equestrian skills. Although Ji-sun had never seen the third master riding a horse, he felt that Ziyu would lose badly. He also took Zhang Junlin to ride a horse. Equestrian was Zhang Junlin's rare hobby. This horse farm also had his own horse. He chooses the north every time he takes a vacation, and the horse farm is his must-visit place. Can you ride a horse? Zhang Junlin raised his eyebrows. Teach me, Ji Xian blinked ambiguously, I'm very smart, and I can learn anything as soon as I teach you. We'll update again in the evening. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 542. Chapter 542 Men on the Race Course. Guzio picked a maroon pony. He was very handsome when he got on the horse. He specially changed into a riding outfit. He was very handsome. Gu I took several photos of him and put them in the family group. It was natural to welcome him. After a wave of rainbow farts, Guzio's child gradually grew up, looking like Lu Ziwen and Gu I. He inherited the advantages of both of them. He was more refined and good-looking than Lu Ziwen when he was a boy. He had a perfect heartthrob appearance, and there was no blind spot in appearance or temperament. Gu I felt her heart flutter just looking at it, and she said to Lu Ziwen, if I passed by and lost my memory, and couldn't remember you, and there was such a handsome young man by my side, I would definitely want to have a sibling relationship. She is not a beauty controller, she is a beauty queen. Lu Ziwen didn't rely on his looks to impress her at first, but the more she looked at Guzio's looks, the more she liked them. Especially after he grew up, maybe it was because the mother looked at her son. The more filters you use, the more points your personality will gain because of your appearance. Ji-sun, I'm also, very moved. The young man is so good looking. Chang Junlin. Lu Ziwen. Gu I and Ji Xian were not only paranoid in character, but also a bit yandere, and their aesthetics were also very similar. They both looked at Guzio's riding costume in amazement. Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen didn't say a word. When they came out, they all changed into a clean and neat riding outfit. Lu Ziwen was wearing a black and white riding suit, black boots, and was fully equipped from head to toe. He was handsome, with a classical style, but Zhang Junlin had a pure British style, and the red and black riding suit made his features look better. Flying and imposing. Both of them have an aura that dominates the world, which is a temperament that a young boy like Guzio cannot match. Their magnificence is unparalleled, and one glance at them makes people unable to take their eyes away and indulge in it. Ji-sun's heart was pounding. No matter how many times you saw some people, you could always catch a glimpse of them. They were so stunning that he could hardly move his eyes away from them. Gu Xi was no exception. She had just lost all her attention to Lu Ziwen, and now it was all on Lu Ziwen. This was the first time she saw Lu Ziwen's riding outfit. Any photo she took could be used as a magazine photo, just like his temperament on the racing track is unrivaled, and his arrogance of being the best in the world is clearly visible. So, handsome, Gu Xi blinked and couldn't help but take a photo, and specially took a photo of Lu Ziwen and Zhang Junlin. Scheming, Gu Xi snorted coldly. In 10 years, he would be able to make his mother look at him with stars in his eyes. His father and uncle must be jealous, after all, his mother and brother were fascinated by him just now. Menzeo. Lu Ziwen chuckled, his smile was just right. If it was more, it would look greasy, if it was less, it would make him feel less charming. His sexual tension was full. He asked Gu Xi, "Are you handsome?" Gu Xi was not stingy with her praise at all. "My heartbeat rate has reached a new level again." So handsome that she couldn't find an adjective. Lu Ziwen saw the fascination in her eyes. He was amazed and very satisfied. Gu Xi wanted to compare his masculinity with him. He was definitely a dimension-reducing blow. No matter how mature the young boy was, with the face and figure here, it was impossible for him to be like an adult man. Sexual tension. The beauty of a young man lies in his appearance. The charm of a man lies in his bones. No matter how good-looking or good-tempered a young man may be, he does not have the sexual charm that is revealed in the bones of an adult man, which is the most fatal attraction to a woman. Lu Ziwen is, and so is Zhang Junlin. Zhang Junlin is even better than Lu Ziwen in this kind of masculine charm, as you can tell by looking at Ji Sun's obsessed eyes. "Dad, I'll give you a lap." Gu Xi showed off his momentum as he never lost the battle. Lu Ziwen quickly mounted his horse, like a Qinggong in a martial arts novel. It was so light. Gu Xi's heart skipped a beat. Did he look like he had never ridden a horse before? He looked so skillful in mounting his horse. Can he take back the declaration of war he just made? Is he a little ungrateful? You cannot bluster before you know the strength of your enemy. Lu Ziwen chuckled and said, "Son, Daddy, let me go 3 times. "Ha," Gu Xi snorted coldly, "who do you look down on? Run." The competition lasted for 10 laps. Gu Xi, who had been practicing equestrian since childhood, did not believe that Lu Ziwen could beat him in 3 laps. He galloped the horse very confidently. Although Gu Xi was moved by seeing Lu Ziwen, he couldn't help but give Gu Xi a try. Xia recorded video. Her baby son is really growing up. After 3 laps, Lu Ziwen spurred his horse. He was riding a white horse. The horse was tall and powerful. It galloped with its hooves raised, like a ferocious beast rushing out of the fence, unstoppable. When Gu Xi ran the 5th lap, Lu Ziwen had already caught up with him by 1.5 laps. Gu Xi watched helplessly as Lu Ziwen whizzed past him, and he couldn't catch up at all. His white horse seems to be integrated with him. It is fast and very stable, just like the young general who was born on horseback in ancient times. If you give him a sword, he can dominate the battlefield. Gu Xi said, "Li Jiang, is this what you said about not being able to ride a horse?" "Jiang. Young master, this is unfair. We have followed the 3rd master for so many years, but we really didn't know he could ride a horse. On the other side of the race course, there are no males chasing after each other. It has completely changed the style of painting. Ji Sun has never learned equestrian. People who often ride horses and people who do not often ride horses have different feelings on the horse." He was obviously a little rusty. Zhang Junlin was teaching him how to ride a horse, but Ji Xian was distracted and looked into Zhang Junlin's riding clothes. If his eyes were a knife, this knife would have peeled him clean. Zhang Junlin is the most masculine man Ji Sun has ever seen. Hands and feet, every frown, and every smile are all releasing male hormones. This riding outfit simply touched his heart. "Brother, let's ride horses in another place." Ji-sun's voice was as soft as a coquettish, "A little horse, I promise, I can learn it once I learn it." Jang Junlin raised his head and glanced at him. This little bastard's eyes were really wild. "You can ride a horse, are you ashamed? If you were a horse, I would ride it." Ji-sun's tone was very rogue. Jang Junlin was originally holding the reins. He let go of the reins when he heard these words, and suddenly slapped the horses hard. This was his horse, and he was very understanding, and he started running instantly. F***ck, Ji Xian shouted. In his panic, he couldn't care less about the yellow waste in his mind. He quickly grabbed the reins, but couldn't control the horse at all. The horse ran faster and faster, almost running into Lu Ziwen and Gu. In Xiu's game, Ji Huan was shocked and said, "Zhang Junlin, I'm going to bully your uncle." The speed at which this horse lost control was too scary. Gu Si chuckled, "You are so courageous, you dare to call me by your first name." Zhang Junlin put his thumb and index finger together on his lips and blew a sharp whistle. The out-of-control horse ran towards him with Ji Sun. When he ran to him, Zhang Junlin grabbed the reins with one hand and jumped on the horse, sitting behind Ji Sun. Putting her hands around his waist and holding the reins firmly, he chuckled and asked, "You have run around for 2 times. Are you awake? Good night." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 543. Chapter 543. What is their purpose? Lu Ziwen let Gu Ziu go around 3 times, but still left him far away. His riding posture was standard and very handsome. Gu Ziu reined in the horse angrily, "I'm a little ignorant. The father who looks like an antique is really amazing. He made a miscalculation and should not underestimate the enemy." Lu Ziwen chuckled, "Son, are you still competing?" Compare, Gu Ziu ran 10 laps, but he was still not comfortable. Although he knew he could not beat Lu Ziwen, he still felt relieved and would never admit defeat. The father and son were exactly the same competitive people. If they ran 3 laps and lost 3 laps, it didn't matter. Whether it's long distance or short distance, we all lose. Gu Ziu was not ashamed to ask Lu Ziwen to teach him how to ride a horse. He also wants the horse to be obedient and run fast. On the other side of the race course, Zhang Junlin and Ji Huan were riding together. Zhang Junlin didn't know what he said. Ji Huan turned around and hit him. The two were laughing and playing, not caring about other people's eyes. Lu Ziwen secretly thought that he must keep a distance between Gu Ziu and Ji Sun. Fortunately, Gu Ziu's attention was all on the horse racing, and he didn't notice Ji Sun and Zhang Junlin. "Mr. Zhang, you look really handsome. Are you wearing a riding outfit?" Ji Xian said. When Gu Si gave him the guide, he didn't pay attention. He would have known that he was also wearing a riding outfit. It doesn't matter whether you can ride a horse or not, as long as you are handsome. Third Master, Zhang Junlin looks handsome in his riding suit. Chang Junlin said, "This is my horse farm. I come here every summer for a few days of vacation. There are many riding clothes. If you like them, you can go and pick out a few sets, but you can't wear them in my size." Ji Sun has a slender figure, tall and thin. He still has the figure of a teenager in his 20s. Lu Ziwen has grown with age in recent years, but Ji Sun seems to be stuck in his teenage years, and his appearance is also the same. He's a bit young, and his overly mature look doesn't suit him well. When Ji Xian heard this, his eyes wandered over Zhang Junlin. "Do you want to see it?" Jang Junlin lowered his head and said something in his ear, which made Ji Sun's ears turn red. Lu Ziwen felt even more irritated, so he took Gu Ziu to the other side on horseback. Gu Ci was not interested in riding horses, so she looked for angles to take pictures of them. Whether it was Ji Sun, Zhang Junlin, Gu Ziu, or Lu Ziwen, she was the one who knew how to move around. She also picked a few photos of Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun and sent them to the group. They were all photos of them riding together, and the atmosphere was very good. The Zhang family members all expressed silence, except for Grandma Zhang, who said something very nice. Li Zhang led people to patrol around and found a group of mercenaries. He frowned slightly and walked over. The cars were too conspicuous for Li Zhang to ignore even if he wanted to. It felt like they also wanted Li Zhang to find out. "Why are you still following us?" Li Zhang frowned. "There are our people nearby. If you keep following us, if you are accidentally injured, we will not be blamed. It's really an accidental injury, and we don't blame you," the mercenary captain said. "We have received orders to monitor at all times, and we must obey orders. Please forgive me." After Li Zhang heard Conway's report, he stopped talking to them and walked back to report to Gu Ci. Gu Ci glanced at the father and son who were racing on the race course and said softly, "Whatever they want, you can ask them about this." Ask the third master for his opinion. "No." Gu Ci glanced back, her eyes showing worry. "What exactly did Lu Ziwen and Roosevelt talk about? Is there any tacit understanding? Why do they keep following? Tomorrow's update will make up for it by 12,000. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 544. Chapter 544. Men on the race course. A few people played at the race course for a day. Lu Ziwen also took Gu Zi to go horse racing in the mountains. Not only did they play on the race course, Ji Sun was not good at equestrian skills, and Zhang Junlin did not dare to take him to the mountains and forests. The terrain of the mountains and forests in the north was complex. They were playing on the race course. Gu Ci was basking in the sun on the hillside, videotaping Zhou Jinjin and taking pictures of the scenery. The group of people entertained themselves without disturbing each other. "Why don't you ride horses with them? They are all traveling. When can you not bask in the sun?" Zhou Jinjin is now a dazzling star and a top-tier celebrity. There are 365 days in a year, except for certain holidays, and the crew is basically seamlessly connected. The web drama became an instant hit and then became popular. One drama after another became popular, all with leading female protagonists. After her acting skills soared, her resources and reputation followed her. She was good-looking, white, and rich, and had a good counter-attack script. Back then, she and Gu Chaoyun had torn apart resources, but now Gu Chaoyun has become an 18th-tier actress, and Zhou Jinjin a female star who is active on the front line and has good looks and strength like her usually stays popular for 10 years. Gu Ci is the major shareholder of Hualien Bank and is very good to Zhou Jinjin. She has specially attended several high-luxury brand launch conferences, all to give Zhou Jinjin resources. Therefore, in the year when Zhou Jinjin first became famous, she wore casual clothes with top-tier brands and high-end brands. She was also scrambling to find luxury endorsements, and it was a smooth journey. In addition to giving her resources, Gu Ci had the habit of investing in Zhou Jinjin's movies. Zhou Jinjin also joked that he was being kept by his best friend. Gu Ci is also nicknamed China's best friend in the entertainment industry. Popular celebrities rarely have any days off. In the past few years, Zhou Jinjin has been running around making announcements and staying with the crew, so she basically has no time. She and Gu Ci have not seen each other for several months. It is rare for her to have time to make videos, but she's still doing makeup. Zhou Jinjin has a long-term relationship, and there is not much turnover in the team. They are basically the same people, and they are very familiar with Gu Ci. Jo Jinjin joined the costume crew this time, playing the role of a flirtatious king of the sea, who finally ascended the throne and proclaimed himself emperor, with a fictional background. The theme is fantasy and the makeup is particularly beautiful. If you really have nothing to do, why don't you come to the crew to find me, Jo Jinjin said with a smile. I have been filming in the desert recently, very close to you. How long do you want to stay in the north? Not sure. Gu Ci knew that Jo Jinjin was filming in the desert, but she and Lu Ziwen had an ulterior motive for traveling this time, and the group of mercenaries were still watching and not leaving, so Gu Ci was a little hesitant. Wait a little later, and they discussed that if they could spare half a day, I would go find you, but you are filming, what should I do? Watch me filming, Jo Jinjin laughed, we haven't seen each other for 2 months. Jo Jinjin is particularly attached to Gu Ci. I was reading the gossip news yesterday. Are you in love with the leading actor on the set? Gu Ci asked curiously, are you in love again? CP is just for business, so what are you talking about? I have a very upright work attitude. He has 3 girlfriends at the same time, which is not my cup of tea. Jo Jinjin complained. There is a regular girlfriend on the set, who is said to be from his makeup team. What if we are all blind? She had been in love twice in the past few years, but they broke up because of cheating. Jo Jinjin had a fiery personality, and Gu Ci had a very strong background. The 2 exes who cheated on each other did not end well. Originally, they are all traffic niche students, good looking. Jo Jinjin was directly exposed after cheating, their resources were downgraded, no one dared to offend Hualien Bank, and they slowly disappeared from the entertainment industry. Because of this, Jo Jinjin's romantic luck is basically extinct. No one dares to fall in love with her, unless they stay together for the rest of their lives. If they break up and are torn apart, and their resources are downgraded, which man would be willing? There are so many handsome men and beautiful women in the entertainment industry, and there are so many temptations. It is normal for men to be half-hearted. Anyone who wants to fall in love will be tied to death. Therefore, there is basically no spark between Jo Jinjin and his co-stars, or they have to find someone with good character, who is single-minded, or has to find someone outside the circle. Due to family reasons, Jo Jinjin is particularly disgusted with men who eat from the bowl and look at the pot. How are you and Lu Ziwen? There is no progress in the trip? What's the matter with him? Isn't it supposed to teach you how to ride a horse? Look at your brother, it's so romantic to ride together. He actually let you go alone on the hillside? You're wasting your time in the sun. Jo Jinjin saw the video sent by Gu Ci and already wanted to complain. No wonder my brother doesn't like me. It turns out the gender is inappropriate. I even fantasized about being your sister-in-law. Gu Ci laughed. Jo Jinjin had indeed thought about pursuing Zhang Junlin. It's not that she loves Zhang Junlin unforgettably, she simply thinks that Zhang Junlin has masculine charm and full of hormones. She likes him very much. Moreover, the Zhang family has a good family tradition and there is almost no such thing as cheating. Moreover, he is Gu Ci's brother, so they kiss him even more. 5 years ago, she dragged Gu Ci to let her organize the game. Gu Ci told her tactfully that it was not appropriate. Jo Jinjin did not believe in evil. Gu Ci was pestered and had no choice but to actually organize the game. Then, Jo Jinjin retreated knowing the difficulty. Zhang Junlin is very skillful in rejecting others. Unless he encounters someone who is stalking someone and cannot understand their words, he usually will not reject someone outright. Chatting for 5 minutes, he can basically judge a person's personality, connotation, areas of expertise and inadequacies. He will unconsciously show his knowledge, and naturally distance himself from you. You talk about Fenjiao, he talks about philosophy. You talk about worldly things, and he talks about romance. If you are interested in flowers, birds, fish, and insects, he will talk about the universe and astronomy. He doesn't want to be downwardly compatible with a person, which will make people feel that he is unattainable and otherworldly. Jo Jin felt after just one meal that she and her brother were in a different world and couldn't reach her. She never thought about becoming Gu Si's sister-in-law again. Gu Si knew the inside story and had talked to her a long time ago. However, Zhang Junlin's affairs were not disclosed to the public at that time. She could not mention it to Jo Jin. It was not because she was afraid that Jo Jin would tell others, but she just didn't want to talk about her brother's privacy. She knew it would be like this. Zhang Junlin and Gu Chuiyun had no feelings for each other for so many years, just because Zhang Junlin didn't want to get close to Gu Chuiyun. It turns out it's not my charm that's the problem. I'm very relieved. Jo Jin raised his eyebrows. Xiao Ci, did you know this a long time ago? Why didn't you tell me back then? Which made me laugh. It was not made public back then, but now that my brother has brought Ji-sun home, it is considered semi-public. Didn't your grandparents break his legs? Jo Jin gossiped. He dares to take him home. That's awesome. Xiaosai, bring it to the crew to play with. You can't see clearly from a distance. I want to see what my brother is doing. What kind of man have you fallen in love with? Come on, take a recent photo. The video was only seen from a distance, and Ji-sun's face was not clearly seen. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 545. Chapter 545. A sudden change. Gu Si searched for a moment on her phone and sent him a separate photo of Ji-sun. Jo Jin was silent for a moment. Oh shit, it turns out it's really my charm. Who's not confused or excited about this? He's so handsome. Ah. Gu Si seemed to know that Jo Jin would react this way. Jo Jin said in surprise, I'm so excited, Xiao Ci. It would be a waste not to debut with such good looks. You nymphomaniac. Gu Si chuckled and said, don't I look good? If you change your personality, Lu Ziwen and I will be love rivals, the kind that will fight to the death. Gu Si laughed, and the two chatted for a while. Lu Ziwen had already come over with Gu Ziu on horseback. Gu Si looked at it from a distance and felt that her life was complete and very happy. This was her happiest moment. Mom, do you want to come and ride a horse? Mom doesn't want to ride. Gu Si declined and hung up the phone. Gu Ziu's face was sweaty from running. Lu Ziwen jumped down, very handsome. Gu Ziu was full of energy and not tired at all, and ran to find Ji Xian and Zhang Junlin. Li Zhang took the reins and took the horse aside for a walk. Lu Ziwen smiled and said, Ziyuzhen has no consciousness of being a light bulb at all. Gu Si got up and walked with Lu Ziwen on the race course. They couldn't stay away from Gu Ziu. When Zhang Junlin saw them coming, he took his hands off Ji Sun's waist. Ji Xian said, the baby is here to be a light bulb again. Forget it if he comes. What are they doing here? Zhang Junlin looked at Lu Ziwen and Gu Si who were following behind him. This family of three became conjoined twins when they went on a trip, and they stayed together wherever they went. Lu Ziwen clearly disliked Ziyu, but he still wanted to follow him. It's rare for a family of three to get together. Why should I take care of this? When the two of them said this, Gu Ziu had already come over and extended an invitation with a smile on his face. Uncle, let's compete. You've been running for more than an hour, aren't you tired? Zhang Junlin asked. I'm not tired at all. I can still run 10 laps. Gu Ziu couldn't compare with Lu Ziwen no matter how hard he tried, so he gave up provocation and looked for the next target. If he couldn't compare with his father, could he still compare with his uncle? Ji-sun thought to himself, baby, you really don't have any eyesight. Okay, Zhang Junlin also became interested. Ji Xian turned around and kissed him, jumped off the horse and made a victory gesture. Brother, come on. Brother, why don't you cheer for me? Gu Zia was unhappy. You are partial. Chang Junlin. What's going on with this jealous tone? Ji Huan held a bowl of water level and said, baby, come on, too. Just say, Gu Zia will win, and I will forgive you. Gu Zia raised his whip and looked broad-minded. Aren't you making things difficult for me? Ji Xian turned around and said with a smile, you competed with Third Master, and Xiao Ci also cheered for Third Master. Gu Ci tried to dismantle the situation, I'm cheering for Ziyu. Ji Sun. Zhang Junlin looked at Ji Sun with a half-smile, and asked calmly, Xiao Sun, who are you cheering for? Lu Ziwen mocked, it's still too late to escape from Yuan now. Ji Sun will not be able to escape, whoever wins, I will give a kiss as a reward. Lu Ziwen. Gu Ci. Gu Ziyu disliked this kind of reward, and Zhang Junlin also disliked it. After all, a lover's kiss is not a rare thing. Gu Ziyu was no match for the prize, so he challenged Zhang Junlin, Uncle, I will definitely beat you. Zhang Junlin's eyes were grim, absolutely impossible. Snort. 10 laps of horse racing determined the outcome. Zhang Qiang blew a whistle. Zhang Junlin and Gu Ziyu spurred their horses and started running on the race course. Ji Sun whistled and took out his mobile phone to record a video for them. Brother, come on. Lu Ziwen glanced at Ji Sun, last time I asked you to keep distance from Ziyu, did you turn a deaf ear to it? Third Master, something is wrong with you, Ji Sun said, you are so jealous that there is no reason for it. We have always had a good relationship with Ziyu, but if we suddenly distance ourselves from him, he will have some thoughts. Gu Ziyu is still very sensitive. If he really wants to keep a distance, he will definitely notice it. Don't bring bad guys into trouble. Ji Xian understood instantly, Third Master, you are discriminating. If Ziyu knew you thought this way, he would most likely get angry. Gu Ziyu doesn't understand Feng Yu, and has no concept of being with someone for the rest of his life. Hong Luan seen when Feng Bing doesn't move, and if he really mentions it to him, he will most likely misunderstand it, so everyone chooses to remain silent in a tacit understanding. Gu Ci also felt that it would be better for them to keep a proper distance, but their attitude was not as tough as Lu Ziwen's. Gu Ziyu is a talented athlete, and his horse riding is particularly stable. Zhang Junlin has practiced equestrian skills since he was a child. He is strong and calm, and is always half a lap ahead of Gu Ziyu. Gu Ziyu chases after him desperately, trying to catch up every time. Zhang Junlin distanced himself again. Ziyu is going to lose. Gu Ci looked at the competition on the field. Zhang Junlin's equestrian skills were obviously better than Gu Ziyu's. The brat competed with me for 10 laps and ran for more than an hour in the mountains and forests. His energy is low. If he adjusts his physical strength, he may not lose to Zhang Junlin, Lu Ziwen commented lightly. Ji Huan couldn't help but speak for Zhang Junlin, Third Master, is it so difficult to admit that your brother is excellent? Lu Ziwen glanced at him and said, it's something you eat inside and outside. Is this how you eat the inside and outside? Yes, Gu Ci helped, it can be used like this. On the 8th lap, Zhang Junlin made a lap faster than Gu Ziyu. Gu Ziyu was obviously in a hurry and used too much force. Lu Ziwen frowned, and sure enough, he saw that the horse was out of control and knocked Gu Ziyu off the horse. Fall off the back. Ziyu, Gu Ci and Ji Xian were shocked. If they fell down at such a speed, they would be half disabled if not dead. Lu Ziwen moved very quickly, like a gust of wind rushing past and catching Gu Ziyu. Chang Junlin's guards were stunned as a group of roe deer. Sanyi can really fly. The distance of 200 meters was reached in a blink of an eye. This was more intuitive and shocking than what I saw in the video. This is definitely not human speed. The group of mercenaries who were also monitoring the situation were shocked when they saw Lu Ziwen dodge past. Did anyone record it? Everyone shook their heads. They were monitoring from a distance, but no one recorded it. Is he really a mutant? Due to speed and inertia, Lu Ziwen was unable to control his speed for a moment. He could only hold Gu Ziyu's head with both hands and threw him towards the outside of the racecourse, hitting a stone pier. No one expected this turn of events. Li Zhang ran over with people, and Gu Xi also jumped on a horse and galloped over. When Zhang Junlin saw Gu Ziyu fall, he turned around and came one step ahead of Gu Xi. Go to Lu Ziwen. Zhang Junlin jumped off his horse and ran over. Lu Ziwen's head hit the stone pier, and there were blood stains on the stone pier. He felt dizzy and the world was spinning. Everything in his ears seemed like hallucinations, and all the sounds seemed to come from the wind. Chaotic memories flashed through his mind like a slideshow, and those dusty memories crowded into his mind like a movie. Lu Ziwen, how are you? Zhang Junlin hugged the unconscious Gu Ziyu, and only had time to ask Lu Ziwen before he saw Lu Ziwen passed out. Gu Xi and Ji Sun also arrived, and they were shocked. Zhang Junlin did not dare to move them, waiting for Gu Xi's arrival. Gu Xi first went to check on Gu Ziyu. Gu Ziyu didn't have any external injuries, but for some unknown reason, she didn't know the personnel. Gu Xi listened to the heartbeat and felt the pulse, but there was basically nothing unusual. She didn't know the reason for the coma. Do you want to call 120? Li Zhang asked. Gu Xi shook his head, no need for now. After checking on Gu Ziyu, she went to listen to Lu Ziwen's heartbeat, and her expression changed drastically. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 546. Chapter 546. She knows everything. The racecourse has a special hotel. The racecourse invested by Zhang Junlin is for his vacation, but he only comes here a few days a year. The racecourse usually breeds horses and transports horses to all over the country. The terrain is good, and it was opened after application. In the tourism industry, when Zhang Junlin is not on vacation, the racecourse will entertain tourists. When he is on vacation, the racecourse will rest. The hotel facilities are also very good, and there is also a dedicated medical service center. Gu Xi gave Lu Ziwen and Gu Ziyu a detailed examination. Lu Ziwen hit a stone pier and bled, but the wound was not big. Gu Xi specially checked him to see if there was intracranial hemorrhage. It was just a slight bleeding and not serious. It was serious, but she didn't know why she was unconscious. It was even more bizarre that Gu Ziyu was in a coma. He had no external injuries at all. Gu Ziyu was well protected by Lu Ziwen when he fell from the horse. Lu Ziwen blocked his body in front of him and held his head with both hands, so Gu Ziyu should not be unconscious. Li Zhang was anxious and panicked. He had rarely encountered this kind of situation in so many years. The safety and health of the third master had always been the responsibility of their guards. Although there were reasons for the incident, Li Zhang felt that he had a heavy responsibility. Zhang Qiang felt a little pity for him when he saw that he was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Although he usually shows off that my master can fly, that his work as a guard is very easy, and his tone of voice is very unscrupulous, but Li Zhang is like this. He feels that Li Zhang is so pitiful, and the third master is unconscious, and he can't even send him to the hospital. It may not be a good thing if the master can fly. If you can't fly, there won't be such accidents. Zhang Junlin was outside the door, his brows furrowed, and he felt a little guilty. Ji Sun said, "Brother, it has nothing to do with you, this is an accident." I know, Zhang Junlin knew it was an accident, but if I had given way to Ziyu, there would not have been such an accident. Ziyu was trying to beat me, so the horse would lose control. Gu Ziyu, like Lu Ziwen, has a temperament that refuses to admit defeat. When he competes with Lu Ziwen, even if he is so far behind in the game, he will try his best even if he knows that he can't compare. He never thinks that he will lose and will fail. Horses are spiritual and can feel the owner's desire to win, but cannot win. If people are anxious, the horse will lose control. I should have let Zia go. Zhang Junlin was rarely upset by one thing. You have to be strong-tempered when you meet someone. Since you want to compete, you have to go all out. If you let him go, he will be unhappy. Brother, this was an accident. Don't blame yourself, Ji Xian comforted him. When something happened to Lu Ziwen, Ji Huan immediately told Rong Li and asked Rong Li to send someone over. The group of mercenaries were watching eagerly and they couldn't let anything happen. They sent more people to ensure everyone's safety. You guys can still get into trouble when traveling, you are so capable. Rong Li was irritable. The third master is really in trouble. He should be the most powerful man in the world, how could he be so unlucky? Car accident, gunshot wound, imprisoned. No one was left behind, and now he is saving people from coma, which is really outrageous. Rong Lico was speechless. Don't be in love with me. My mind is on Zhang Junlin. Keep an eye on those mercenaries. If it doesn't work, send a private plane over to bring the third master back. Don't worry, I'm measured, Ji Xian said. When I discuss it with Xiaosai, Xiaosai listened to Master San's heartbeat today and his expression was solemn. Even if he was hit, he didn't hurt his head and there was no intracranial bleeding. It shouldn't be if it's a big deal. If Mr. San is still awake tomorrow, we'll make a decision. Okay. Rong Li hung up the phone, feeling extremely irritable. Who did the third master offend? Why are there so many disasters? Gu Ci guarded the father and son, just in case. Although the medical equipment in the carriage is simple, it is enough. There is no need to send him to the hospital. The diagnosis results are almost the same, and she can be responsible. Gu Ci listens to Lu Ziwen's heartbeat every once in a while. It wasn't until she heard his heartbeat that Gu Ci felt relieved. She must have heard it right. When Lu Ziwen fell, there was no heartbeat. She couldn't hear a heartbeat at all. She almost thought Lu Ziwen was dead. At that moment, her whole body was cold, as if she was haunted by a nightmare. Fortunately, she didn't give up. She had experienced Lu Ziwen's death once and never wanted to experience it again. She was knocked off the cliff and died without a body. She wanted to see her for the last time. She was trapped in that nightmare for a long time. For a long time, she became another person because of that nightmare. She didn't want to see Lu Ziwen die in front of her again. She swore that no matter what happened to Lu Ziwen, she would accompany him. Whether it is death or life. Whether it's poverty, disease, or being cursed, so what? God wants to compete with her for a man. If she cannot compete with him, she will fight God desperately. Now, with the sound of her heartbeat, she feels at ease. Still alive. Gu Ci remembered what Lu Ziwen said when he was in the research institute. It was something that Lu Ziwen didn't even know. After being anesthetized, he was hypnotized and lay quietly on the operating table, waiting for others to study. Although the director of the institute is from Zhang Junlin, he became a monk halfway and is not considered a serious scientific researcher. In the operating room, it is really easy for scientific researchers to do anything. There are various kinds of drugs in the operating room. They are all biological experts and know which kinds of drugs will kill people when mixed together. The drugs are all transparent. All look the same in appearance. They didn't even need to do it themselves. They just sent 2 assistants, each of whom could fake 2 tubes of medicine. So Gu Ci was particularly concerned about it. She even quarreled with the people at the institute and almost got into a fight. That time after Lu Ziwen was hypnotized, they had to do research and tried every means to avoid Gu Ci. there was a clause in the Institute's agreement that any research that Gu Ci did not agree with could not be carried out. Gu Ci felt something was wrong and interrupted the research, so she quarreled with the researchers. Two tall male researchers from the Institute wanted to push her out. Gu Ci directly moved her hands, snatched the medicine that was about to hit Lu Ziwen, and asked them what it was. Unknown medicines are not allowed to be used on Lu Ziwen without Gu Ci's permission. She will check all the medicines used on Lu Ziwen and check the weight. The scientific researchers couldn't hide it, so they messed it up. Gu Ci placed too many restrictions on them. They seemed to regard Lu Ziwen as an ordinary experimenter. Gu Ci tried to stop him again and again, but they tried their best to do anything. Regarding Lu Ziwen's research, the researchers were eager to get a result. During the experiment, if something unexpected happened, it was normal, so they planned to do so, but it was a pity that Gu Ci found out. Gu Ci pushed them all out, closed the door, and called the director of the research institute to come and deal with it. She waited for Lu Ziwen to wake up. After Lu Ziwen was hypnotized, he could not move or wake up at will. Gu Ci could only wait. She waited for 10 minutes and heard Lu Ziwen talking. She thought it was weird at first. People who are hypnotized rarely talk after they are asleep. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 547. Chapter 547 2-year-old boy encounters. After Lu Ziwen was hypnotized, he could not move or wake up at will. Gu Ci could only wait. She waited for 10 minutes and heard Lu Ziwen talking. She thought it was weird at first. People who are hypnotized can hardly speak after they are asleep. Lu Ziwen not only did he talk as if he was arguing with someone, he was anxious and angry, and asked him why he was doing this. He said he didn't want to kill her. Gu Ci was frightened when she heard this. In order to prevent herself from missing any information, she turned on her phone and recorded it. Lu Ziwen was under hypnosis and didn't know who he was talking to. Gu Ci got a message from the conversation that the curse was coming again. Lu Ziwen had a premonition when the curse came in the previous life. Every time he sees the person in the dream, it means that the curse is coming and he is going to die. Gu Ci felt anxious and distressed after hearing this. She was traumatized by Lu Ziwen's death. She wanted to desperately prevent Lu Ziwen's death, but she knew that he couldn't stop it. Curse is destiny. No one can get rid of it. Lu Ziwen was in pain, but it was of no use. He accepted his fate and no longer resisted. Gu Ci heard Lu Ziwen's passivity from the conversation between Lu Ziwen and the man. He knew how to lift the curse, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted to live, and the three of them wanted to be reunited. For Lu Ziwen, this was the most important thing, but Lu Ziwen knew how to break the curse, but he still didn't want to. Can only be related to her. After Lu Ziwen woke up, Gu Ci wanted to ask him about the curse, but Lu Ziwen kept silent and locked himself up for 2 days after returning to Universal. 2 days after Li Zhang told her that Lu Ziwen had been autistic, Gu Ci knew about Lu Ziwen's dream. Everything is real. That is not a post-hypnotic memory. Is real. So, she proposed to travel together. The time the family of 3 got together was too short. She wanted to spend her last days happily without worrying about any curses, and she didn't want to force Lu Ziwen. If he doesn't want to say it, it's useless for anyone to force him to do it. When the mercenaries appeared, she wondered if a curse was coming, if there would be any accident, and if Lu Ziwen would die. Gu Ci was preparing for Lu Ziwen's death every moment. When Gu Ziu fell off his horse, she lay on his chest and could not hear his heartbeat. Gu Ci was struck by thunder, and there was a knife hanging above her head. She was always waiting for the knife to fall. She seemed to have been waiting a lifetime for this knife to finally fall. But this knife cannot take away Lu Ziwen, nor can it take away Gu Ziyu. Gu Ci held Gu Ziyu's hand and said, Ziyu, why aren't you awake yet? Wake up, okay. Can you hear your mother? No matter where you are, go back to your mother. Gu Ziyu was indifferent. He fell asleep peacefully, as if dead, and his hands and feet were also cold. Gu Ci was very desperate. She hoped that it was her, not Ziyu, who was lying here. Seeing that they were still awake, Ji Sun asked tentatively, Xiao Ci, why don't you send them to the hospital? Gu Ci shook her head slightly, send her to the hospital, the result will be the same. Ji Sun had no choice but to give up after hearing this. Gu Ci is a doctor and has his own judgment. As night fell, the carriage was calm, and the Black Hawk agents who had been hiding in the dark appeared like ghosts around the race course. They were full of vigilance, and the group of mercenary vehicles was driven away 1 kilometer away. This group of mercenaries wanted to inquire about the situation, but unfortunately they were caught and thrown out as soon as they touched the edge of the race course. They were not clear about the situation of Lu Ziwen and Gu Ziyu. Li Zhang said with a cold face, Third Master, I'm polite to you. You are angry because you are soldiers who obey orders and have a sense of proportion. But if you cross the line again, don't blame us for being rude. The female mercenary said, Li Zhang, we just want to know the situation of Mr. San. We don't mean any harm. Third Master is very good. But you've transferred all the agents here, is it really okay? If something happens to Mr. Third, we have sent him to the hospital. Besides, there is no injury. It's just a concussion. Just rest for 2 days. Li Zhang asked with a sneer, is it possible that Mr. Third is a celebrity and you are a paparazzi, so I still want to let him go? Can you go in and take a photo to prove it? If you can. Get out. Li Zhang drove the person away ruthlessly. Li Zhang didn't want to start a big fight, but the news that the Third Master was unconscious must not be spread outside. Not to mention that these mercenaries were excited, everyone at the institute was also excited, not to mention that Gu Ziyu was also unconscious. Calling in a team of guards for protection will definitely arouse suspicion from others. This was the last resort, but there was nothing he could do. Lu Ziwen stood in front of a familiar house number and frowned slightly. This place was too familiar. It was the home where he and Gu Ci settled down after they got married. It was built on the hillside. Li Zhang was responsible for guarding the place and brought a guard with him all year round. Has he returned to his previous life? There was a maple tree planted at the door. It was winter, and the maple leaves seemed to be stained with blood, and the red color was too bright. There was no one at the door, and the exquisite and small outdoor courtyard was in a state of ruin with fallen branches and leaves. Lu Ziwen is sullen. Where is Ljiang? Where has he gone? Why didn't you guard the yard? Lu Ziwen pushed the door open and walked in. The small villa had white walls and red tiles. It was particularly conspicuous and unique on the mountainside. It was a Chinese-style ancient villa courtyard. Lu Ziwen had handed over everything to Ji Sun. He was concentrating on accompanying Gu Ci to recuperate. When he knew he was going to die, he left a large sum of cash for Li Zhang, which was enough to keep Gu Ci and his mother and son well fed. Lu Ziwen squinted his eyes and looked at the defeated courtyard. Li Zhang wouldn't have fled with the money, right? The courtyard was quiet. Lu Ziwen wanted to find Gu Ci, but suddenly he saw a cute child running out and playing with a small windmill. The little baby only looked like 2 years old. He was thinner than the average child and looked like a doll. As if, Lu Ziwen recognized it at a glance. This was Gu Ziyu when he was 2 years old. Little Gu Ziyu was amusing himself with a small windmill. He accidentally fell and hit his knees on the floor. He burst into tears. Lu Ziwen was heartbroken and hurriedly went to help him, but found that he could not touch Gu Ziyu. This is a parallel space. Gu Ziyu cried, his knees were broken, bloody, tears fell down, and he shouted his mother in his mouth, but the courtyard was quiet, and no one came to coax the child. Lu Ziwen was irritable. Where is Ljiang? The courtyard is so big, and it is still a Chinese-style courtyard. What does a 2-year-old child know? No one knows if he accidentally fell into the water and drowned. Lu Ziwen was surprisingly angry. The 2-year-old boy cried so hard that he couldn't even call his mother. I shouted until my voice became hoarse, but there was still no one there. He was tired of crying and sobbed aggrievedly. He hugged his little fat leg and licked the wound on his knee. While crying, he comforted himself, "It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, it hurts Fifei, Zio doesn't hurt. There will be an update today, I'm working on it." End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 548. Chapter 548 Internal fight between Ji-sun and Li Zhang. Gu Zio wiped away his tears, picked up his little windmill and started playing with it by himself. Lu Ziwen felt heartbroken and sad, and couldn't help but follow Gu Zio with his eyes. The courtyard was very big, and it was hard for Gu Zio to play with the windmill alone. Very happy, he fell down twice and got up quickly. There is a small rockery in the courtyard. Gu Ci likes pastoral-style decoration. Lu Ziwen specially built a small rockery group with mountains and water. A Chinese-style courtyard requires a lot of effort to take care of. Because this courtyard is not taken care of, the water in the rockery is a bit dirty. It was so turbid that Lu Ziwen was afraid that Zio would accidentally fall into the water and drown. Fortunately, the child was smart and didn't like playing near the water. He would cover his nose when passing by because he disliked the smell of the water. "Brother, brother." Gu Zio whispered to his brother. At the end of the courtyard were Ji Xian and Li Zhang. They didn't know what to talk about in the courtyard, but Li Zhang didn't change much. Ji Sun's face was full of anger, and his face was pale, as if he had been seriously injured and had not yet recovered. He could hear coughing when the wind blew. He was as thin as a bamboo pole, but he had tenacious vitality. He was wearing a black silk shirt and trousers. He wore no jewelry except for a watch. He was born with a smile, but there was no smile on his face. He was like a cold sculpture. His eyes were full of evil aura, like it is a ferocious beast that is extremely hungry and ready to attack people at any time. Except for looking exactly the same, there is nothing similar to the Ji Xian that Lu Ziwen knew well. When Lu Ziwen first met Ji Sun, he was a young boy. He was rebellious, ferocious, full of malice and anger towards the whole world. Gu Zio always talked about the past in a very vague way. Only then did Lu Ziwen know why Gu Zio always not willing to mention it. They are not doing well. Whether a person is living well or not can be seen from his mental outlook. Ji Sun is good at disguise. He can pretend to be a little white flower, or a young man who is passionate about life and full of love. Before Lu Ziwen died, Ji Sun was still the Ji Sun he knew well. He also knew that Ji Sun liked someone, to the core of his heart, just like a puppy that sees its owner and hits him wherever he points. He was almost madly obsessed with someone, and Lu Ziwen knew who it was. He always doesn't care about Ji Sun. Who he loves or hates is Ji Sun's business. It's because he doesn't know Zhang Junlin's identity. If he knew, he would definitely intervene. At that time, he felt that Zhang Junlin was just the president of Hualien. Ji Sun liked it, so there was nothing wrong with it. When Ji Sun took control of Black Hawk, Zhang Junlin would be his caged bird. Gu Zio looked 2 years old, and he had been dead for 3 years. Ji Sun's temperament had completely changed. He didn't even bother to pretend. The skin he wore to live in the world was torn to pieces by him and trampled under his feet. He stood in the shadows, with one sentence written all over his body: "He is a devil." Brother. The young Gu Zio was not afraid of him. He did not understand good and evil, beauty and ugliness. He only knew that Ji-sun often came to see him and would buy him snacks and gifts. He liked Ji-sun. Ji-huan's face became gentler when he saw Ziyu, but there was not much smile in his eyes. He bent down and picked up Gu Ziyu. Do you like the windmill? I like it, Gu Ziyu replied crisply, and kissed Ji-sun's cheek affectionately. Ji-huan looked at Ziyu, frowned and asked, has Ziyu lost weight again? Young master. Li Zhang said in distress. Ji Xian opened Ziyu's arm and saw fresh scars. His brows became more ferocious, and he said in a deep voice, Madam has gone crazy, why not kill her? Li Zhang was startled. No. I promised the third master that I would protect my wife no matter what. With Ziyu by her side, can she still survive? Ji-sun sneered, the third master is dead. Send her to reunite with the third master, and I will take care of Ziyu. Lu Ziwen gritted his teeth and looked at Ji-sun. This little wolf had always wanted to kill Gu Si. He had told Ji-sun that if anything happened to him, Ji-sun must listen to Gu Si and take care of Gu Si's safety. The words given to Ji Xian and Li Zhang were almost exactly the same. Absolutely not, Li Jiang's eyes were cold and he refused very simply. Ji Huan looked at him coldly, lowered his head and blew on the wound on Gu Ziyu's arm. It was a cut with a knife, and it was not very deep. Gu Ziyu shrank and said, it hurts. Brother, blow it, fly away painfully. Ji-sun's voice became softer, but he had a different attitude towards Li Zhang. Are you going to let her abuse Ziyu like this? Li Zhang said, when my wife is calm, she will not abuse the young master. When she is crazy, if the young master is not around, she will become even more crazy. Therefore, you cannot take the young master away. Bastard, Ji Xian shouted, his voice was like ice. He only cared about the bloodline of the third master, not whether Gu Si was alive or dead. Ziyu is only 2 years old, and she just celebrated her birthday. She didn't even care about her own. If my son can't remember, what's the point of living? If you take away the young master, where can you go? Li Zhang asked. Gu Chuiyun only imprisons the madam and the young master and will not kill them. She wants to see the madam go crazy and the young master be tortured. She will not want them to die. If you take the young master away, can you protect him? If someone knows that this is the third master's child, will he survive? Black Hawk is the spy of Brown and Chen Xiaosong, and you have a child with you. Can they not be suspicious? Rong Li has been assassinated since he was caught pretending to be the third master. It has not stopped yet. They have always wanted to know who the real third master is. They must eradicate it. If the identity of the young master is discovered, he won't live long. How long can he survive under Gu Si's abuse? Ji-sun said, you watch the surveillance and let her abuse Ziyu like this. Li Zhang said, Gu Chuiyun comes here every 3 to 5. If the young master is not injured at all, she will also wonder whether the madam is really crazy or fake. If the young master is fine, maybe she will take him away. So what? What's the point? The two had a dispute over Gu Ziyu's abuse. Ji-sun was just a vice president in Black Hawk this year, not even the president. Rong Li's life was hanging on by a thread. They were brothers and sisters, and in Black Hawk before taking power, Li Jiang's actual power was greater than that of Ji-sun, so Ji-sun had no right to make the decision on matters that Li Jiang did not agree with. Li Jiang's attitude was tough, and Ji-sun endured it. If the third master knew that his son was being abused in this way, could you survive? Believe me, the third master only cares about his wife, Li Jiang said lightly, glancing at Gu Ziyu. We, the guards, are the ones who understand the third master best. Gu Ziyu seemed to have noticed that they were quarreling, and was a little scared. A 2-year-old child knows how to watch what is happening. Ji-sun and Li Jiang both suppressed their tempers and stopped arguing. I brought a psychiatrist here. He will come here at 12 o'clock at night. You let the madam receive treatment, Ji Xian said lightly, I don't care whether the madam is dead or alive. I only want Zio to be alive. This is the third step. My only bloodline, I don't want him to die in madam's hands. Li Jiang was not at ease with the Dr. Ji Sun invited. 3 days ago, you sent someone here to kill the madam and take away the young master, and now you want to do it again, Li Jiang said displeased. Ji Sun, I'm warning you, put your time on Black Eagle's official duties, I'm in charge of things here, I don't need you to interfere. Lu Ziwen raised his eyebrows. Li Jiang's attitude towards Ji Sun was very tough, which he did not expect. Ji Sun said, the psychiatrist's name is North, and she is very famous. You can check her qualifications. No need, Li Jiang said, I will take care of madam's condition, you don't need to worry about it. You, Ji Sun gritted his teeth, Li Jiang, I don't mind, I'll kill you too. Come on, as long as you can do it, Li Jiang sneered, don't forget, if you and Rong Li want to gain a foothold in Black Hawk, you still need me, Third Master's bodyguard, if you dare to touch me, you are here the Black Hawk can't go far. Lu Ziwen watched them quarreling, feeling sad and fresh. What's new is that he is used to seeing Li Jiang's funny side. He has always been good-tempered and respectful to Ji Sun. Lu Ziwen asked Li Jiang what he thought of Ji Sun, and Li Jiang was a rainbow fart. But in this life, Li Jiang was a little disgusted with Ji Sun, even disgusted. He didn't even want Ji Sun to come into contact with Gu Ziyu. Lu Ziwen could feel it just by listening to their words. The Third Master's personal guards know the Third Master best. Similarly, the Third Master also knows his own guards. Young Master, let's go play, Li Jiang said. Ji Sun put Gu Ziyu down, and he reluctantly played around with the windmill. He was not too far away, and they were all in the sight of Li Jiang and Ji Sun. Li Jiang said, Ji Sun, don't come to other courtyards in the future. You don't need to worry about the young master's life, we will not put the young master's life in danger. What do you mean? Ji Xian was angry, with murderous intent in his eyes. Li Jiang said calmly, the young master is the only bloodline of the Third Master. I hope he grows up safely and healthily. He will not inherit Black Eagle. You, let me put it bluntly, you are paranoid and violent. It's best don't have too much contact with the young master, he is at the stage of establishing his 3 views. The implication is, stay away from Gu Ziyu, you lunatic. So as not to spoil his pretty young master. Ji Sun was furious and his eyes were bloodshot. The two of them seemed to be about to fight if they disagreed. Lu Ziwen even suspected that Ji Sun would pull out a gun and kill Li Jiang in a fit of anger. This sentence touched Ji Xian's sore spot. You, are very good, Ji Xian walked away with a puff of his sleeves. Gu Ziyu took the windmill and chased after Ji Xian, brother. Ji Huan looked back at him and left cruelly. Nick was waiting for Ji Sun outside, Master, you are not welcome in Jiang, why did you come? Who wants to see him? I can't bear to see the young master being abused by his wife. Ji Sun punched the front of the car hard. He turned to look at the villa with a sinister look, his eyes as sinister as a poisonous snake, a handful of burn this place down, do it cleanly and kill them all. Nick was shocked, Master. That's the madam, the young master, and the Third Master's bodyguards. Ji Huan slammed the door and said, we will take action at 12 o'clock at night. I will send someone to bring Ziyu out. If the others are not obedient, there is no need to live. Nick's heart was frightened and he felt cold all over. Are the Third Master's henchmen and the guards going to kill each other? Lu Ziwen was also dumbfounded. He knew you were crazy, but he didn't expect it to be so crazy. This wouldn't really want to burn down the courtyard and kill Ziyasai, Li Jiang, and the others, right? Apart from Gu Ziyu, no one is left? How dare you, Lu Ziwen roared, but Ji Sun couldn't hear it. He was always determined and would implement the decision he made. Lu Ziwen broke into a cold sweat. Although he knew that Gu Si and Ziyu were fine, Ji Sun's plan there must have been changes, but he didn't expect that his team would fall apart like this after his death. No wonder, it took them more than 10 years to gain a foothold in Black Hawk. If you are fighting among yourself like this, it would be great if you are not dead. He has established a very good team, with Rong Li, Li Zhang, and Ji Xian each performing their own duties. Even if he dies, he can ensure that Black Eagle is under his control, and Gu Si and Ziyu can also live well. Gu Chaoyun couldn't do anything to them. But he didn't expect that Gu Si was crazy and Gu Ziyu was his only bloodline. Ji Sun wanted to kill his mother and keep his son, but Li Zhang died to protect Gu Si. Therefore, the two sides fought internally for many years and consumed each other. Lu Ziwen was almost going crazy. Fortunately, neither of them had any memory of the previous life, otherwise he would have thrown them all into the river and calmed down. No, this is Zhang Junlin's fault. Zhang Junlin was disabled in a car accident. He had always been the rope that tied Ji Sun. When the rope broke, Ji Sun lost control. This kind of poisonous little wolf cub should be kept at home and not let out. Today I wrote 11,700, which is almost 12,000. You won't argue with me about the remaining few hundred words. It's better to stop here. I'll try my best to write 10,000 words tomorrow. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 549. Chapter 549 I feel sorry for my wife. Gu Ziyu stood melancholy at the door with a small windmill, stretched his head and reluctantly looked at the direction Ji Sun left. Lu Ziwen's eyes hurt when he saw it. His precious son had liked Ji Sun so much since he was 2 years old. Children at the age of 18 have the purest hearts and know who likes him and who doesn't like him. Ji Huan always comes to visit Gu Ziyu, but Gu Si abuses him. Li Zhang even protects Gu Si, so Gu Ziyu naturally likes Ji Huan. Lu Ziwen glanced upstairs. Ziyasai should be upstairs. He was a little afraid to see her. In the past few years, he had seen Gu Si who was loved by the sun. He saw her bright and bright, like a sunflower, blooming. Facing his own style, he suddenly felt a little shy about his homeland, fearing to see Gu Si, who was hiding in the dark, had low self-esteem and was sensitive. Gu Ziyu stopped playing with the windmill and sat in a daze under the maple tree in the courtyard. At the age of 2, when children are most active, he was actually in a daze. Li Zhang didn't care about him. Lu Ziwen frowned. He waited for a moment. Gu Ziyu stood up, and Lu Ziwen followed him into the hall. There were 2 ants in the courtyard, one was responsible for cleaning and the other was responsible for cooking. Both were taciturn. Gu Ziyu put down his beloved windmill and climbed upstairs on hands and feet. Lu Ziwen desperately wanted to help him, but to no avail. Gu Ziyu climbed upstairs and moved towards the master bedroom. Ziyu is not afraid, not afraid. He was very scared, but he encouraged himself and walked slowly to the door of the master bedroom. The door was ajar. Gu Ziyu pushed it open and walked in gently. The bedroom was connected to the cloakroom. The space was very large. The cloakroom and the master bedroom were open. The bedroom had 2 very large floor-to-ceiling windows, which allowed one to see the outside scenery. Unfortunately, the curtains were drawn up, making the bedroom dark. Gu Si lay on the bed, huddled in a ball. Gu Ziyu walked over carefully and called her mother. Gu Si did not respond. Gu Ziyu walked to the bed and lay on the bedside and looked at Gu Si. Gu Si had short hair and slept very quietly, soundlessly. Breathing very lightly, Lu Ziwen stood at the door, his heart hanging in the air. He finally understood Gu Ziyu's fear, and he walked over lightly. Gusi I heard Guzio calling her, but turned over and ignored Guzio. Guzio lay beside the bed and said, "Mom, my brother brought a small windmill. Do you want to play with Ziu?" The child loves his mother very much. He always thinks of his mother when he has fun. He always feels that his good things will be liked by his mother very much. He is willing to share them with his mother. However, Gusi did not open his eyes. The light was too dim. Lu Ziwen had to rely on him. You can see Gusi very close. She was not asleep, and her eyes were open. Because she was lying down, her hair fell back on the pillow, revealing her mutilated face. There was a deep scar on her face, and several scars were intertwined. Because he was not well maintained in prison, the scars have proliferated, so it feels like there is an extra line of flesh on his face, which is very ugly. Lu Ziwen once wanted to take Gu Si for plastic surgery to remove the scars on her face. When Gu Si just came back from prison, she was unwilling to see people or contact doctors, and was full of malice and resistance to doctors. Lu Ziwen also don't force her. When Gu Si regained hope for life and gradually became more peaceful, Lu Ziwen also mentioned once whether she should go for plastic surgery to remove the scars. At that time, Gu Si was sensitive and had low self-esteem. She asked Lu Ziwen if he disliked her scars and that she was ugly. She would become extremely sensitive and sad because of the plastic surgery. She broke all the mirrors in the house with grief and anger. She would not leave the house, as if hiding from the sun. Lu Ziwen gradually stopped mentioning it. If she wanted to, she would mention it herself. After 5 months of pregnancy, Gu Si's temperament had become much calmer, and she took the initiative to ask for plastic surgery to remove her scars. Lu Ziwen invited the best plastic surgery doctor over to consult in detail about various plastic surgery matters. Gu Si's scars can be removed with plastic surgery, but she was pregnant with a child at the time, so it was not suitable for surgery. Gu Si agreed to wait until the child was born, and she would have the surgery after she had recovered her health. Lu Ziwen asked the doctor to make several plans, and the surgery date was scheduled. All right. He didn't mind an extra scar on Gu Si's face. Gu Si had many scars on her body, including scars on her back and abdomen. They were the hardships she suffered in order to survive. He just hoped that Gu Si would not feel inferior because of the scar and would not dare to see others. She was born with natural beauty and beauty. After her appearance is restored, she hopes that Gu Si can become more confident and cheerful. Gu Si was willing to undergo surgery for the sake of her child. She didn't want her children to see her as weird, and she also wanted to be a beautiful mother. During those days, Gu Si was in a good mood, and she slowly planned the future with him. They had a checkup very early and knew it was their son. Before the checkup, they even bet whether it was a boy or a girl. Gu Si hoped to have a boy. Coincidentally, Lu Ziwen also wanted a boy. God fulfilled their wish. Now, when the child is born, he should be full of love. He and Gu Si will love the child as a treasure, but unexpectedly, the child is like an orphan. Gu Si, who originally had hope in life, was crushed again. Xiao Si. After Lu Ziwen saw Gu Si, his mind was on her. He didn't even notice when Gu Zio left. Gu Si was used to darkness and silence, so the whole courtyard was quiet. There used to be a lot of photos of them placed beside the bed, but now they are all empty. They have all been put away, making the bedroom look particularly empty. Lu Ziwen never thought that Gu Si would become like this after he left. He thought that Gu Si had a child and had a support in her heart. Even if he died, she would live strong for the sake of the child. She had never been a weak-hearted woman. He is wrong. Gu Si remained in the same position for more than an hour without moving. Gu Zio came again, but she still didn't move. Gu Zio went out again. The child fell on the stairs and cried heartbreakingly. could be heard clearly in the bedroom. Gu Si's eyes were still blank, as if she didn't hear it. Li Jiang came over and carried Gu Ziyu downstairs. Lu Ziwen was frustrated. Why couldn't he touch Gu Si when he came over? If he could see him, Gu Si would cheer up. He could only watch as Gu Si lay like a zombie. There was the sound of a car outside the courtyard. Lu Ziwen walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and saw a Lamborghini driving in. Gu Chawiun got out of the car gracefully, followed by 4 bodyguards in black. Gu Chawiun and Gu Si are sisters. They have somewhat similar looks, but different temperaments. Gu Chawiun is more feminine and charming. She is highly touted in the entertainment industry. She has been praised by stars and has starred in one hit movie after another. The work is a well-known star, radiant, with 3/3 appearance and 7/3 temperament, flamboyant and arrogant, walking into the living room on high heels. Where is Gu Si? Gu Chawiun asked in a loud voice. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 550. Chapter 550 Crazy Sisters. Li Jiang said calmly, Madam is sleeping. Why are we sleeping at this hour? Wake her up. Gu Chawiun sat down on the sofa gracefully, as if she was the hostess of another courtyard. When Li Jiang came upstairs, Gu Si had already sat up. She was as thin as a paper figure and had no expression at all. Lu Ziwen frowned and looked at her. When Ziyu came, she didn't react at all. But when Gu Chawiun came, she knew it. Gu Si understood everything in her heart, and because of this, it was even more painful. Lu Ziwen followed Gu Si downstairs. She was wearing a pair of slippers. The slippers were bought before the marriage. They were a little worn out. She was simply wearing a sweater skirt. Gu Ziyu hid in the corner and looked at Gu Chawiun expressionlessly. He locked the door and looked very angry, but after listening to Li Jiang's words, he hid aside obediently and remained silent. Where's the little bastard? Gu Chawiun stroked her beautiful nails, feeling condescending. Li Jiang didn't answer. Gu Si paused, went downstairs as if nothing had happened, and said calmly, his name is Gu Ziyu. Gu Si's voice was hoarse, probably because her throat was injured and it hasn't healed yet. She was also in low spirits. She floated over like a ghost and sat on the sofa, looking at Gu Chawiun indifferently. A little is a little bastard. His surname is Gu, not Lu. Who will admit that you are married? Even if your son wants to register as Lu Ziyu, he will not do it. Gu Chawiun was gentle and generous in front of outsiders, but in front of Gu Si but he was very sarcastic. If this isn't a little bastard, what is it? There was also an episode when Gu Zi met Hyukao. The name Ziyu had been chosen a long time ago. It was originally called Lu Ziyu. After Gu Si gave birth and got her household registration, Gu Chawiun changed her name to Gu Ziyu. She liked Lu Ziwen so much that she didn't allow his son's surname to be Lu. Gu Si sneered and said nothing. Gu Chawiun was so crazy. If she defended Gu Ziyu, what good would happen to Gu Ziyu? What Gu Chawiun wanted to see was for her to abuse Gu Ziyu and let Gu Ziyu die in her hands. I'm here to tell you good news today. I have acquired all the shares of Hualan Bank. Gu Chawiun breathed a long sigh of relief, including Zhang Junlin's shares. They are all in my name. The entire Hualan Bank, the bank belongs to me. The Zhang family is heavily in debt and has nothing but the old house. The century-old family has collapsed like this. Lu Ziwen narrowed his eyes, becoming more and more confused. Even if Zhang Junlin broke his leg, it was impossible for him to lose control of Hualan Bank. If the trajectory of fate did not change, how could Gu Chawiun inherit Zhang Minjiao's shares that year? What about taking over Hualan Bank? Even if Zhang Junlin breaks his leg, he is still the Dark Master of the Extreme Realm. As long as the Yudao is under his control, it is impossible for Hualan Bank to change hands. Why? What does it have to do with me? Gu Si was indifferent and had no feelings for the Zhang family. When she was tortured in prison, no one from the Zhang family came to see her. When she was abused by Gu Wenliang and Lu Man since she was a child, no one in the Zhang family has said a word to her. What does the Zhang family's bankruptcy have to do with her? Her only relatives are Lu Ziwen and Gu Ziyu. You are Zhang Minjiu's biological daughter. Everything in the Zhang family originally belongs to you. Gu Chuiyun crossed her legs and said nonchalantly, originally, I also wanted to let the Zhang family live. After all, Grandma and Grandpa are in pain. I'm 20 years old. We have been together for so many years and have feelings. It's a pity that my brother insists on finding out your life experience. I can only take action first. Gu Si, the tragedy of their family is all caused by you. If it weren't for you, the insistence on investigating my life experience aroused my brother's suspicion. The Zhang family and I could have been in love with each other for a lifetime, but now we are dead and disabled. It is really pitiful. Lu Ziwen looked at Gu Chuiyun's proud face and regretted once again why he didn't kill Gu Chuiyun. During the 5 years he was in coma, Gu Si suffered a lot. He had no time to stop him, so he tried his best to save Gu Si. Gu Si's mental state and the struggle for power with the 9 Black Eagle families exhausted his mind. He really couldn't spare the time to deal with the Lu family's affairs. Things had to be prioritized. He originally wanted to wait until the situation in Black Hawk was settled and Gu Si's spirit stabilized before dealing with Lu Shijia. Black Eagle has been in chaos for too long. Many people and things have gone out of control, and people's energy is limited. He also looked down on Lu Shijia and Gu Chuiyun. He thought they couldn't make any waves, so he let them dance around for a few days. I never expected that Gu Chuiyun would go crazy so completely and the curse would come so quickly. He failed to handle these things well and harmed Gu Si and Gu Ziyu. Who died? Gu Si asked calmly. Don't you care about the Zhang family at all? Gu Chuiyun smiled leisurely. Gu Si did not show any sadness. Gu Chuiyun said compassionately, Grandma was not in good health to begin with. This time she was stimulated. She called 120 emergency services last night. The doctor asked us to prepare for the funeral. It will only last a few days. Something happened. Gu Chuiyun, you are really heartless. Mrs. Zhang loves you so much, but you repay kindness with hatred. Does she love me? What she loves is Zhang Minjiu's daughter. If she didn't have this identity, would she love me? Gu Chuiyun said lightly, I am old and confused. If I die, I will die. Living is also a suffering. For the sake of raising me, I will choose a good cemetery today to tell you the good news. Are you touched? Gu Si has always believed that evil will be rewarded with evil, and good will be rewarded with good. But what happened in the past few years has made her realize that good people do not live long, and disasters will last for thousands of years. Gu Chuiyun did many evil things, but she received so much love and was protected by her family and friends. Loved by thousands of fans. Those who are not short of love are more likely to get love, and those who are not short of money are the most likely to get money. This bizarre world is so ironic. It's a pity that my brother is not dead, Gu Chuiyun sighed, very melancholy. He was rescued and I don't know where he is hiding. No matter how I look for it, I can't find it. Even when Grandma was about to die, he didn't show up. Is he afraid of death? Or is he afraid of me? If it involves my own interests, why don't I stay away from him? What should I do to prevent him from showing up? Gu Si and Zhang Junlin were not familiar with each other and did not answer. If I give out the news that I'm going to kill you, do you think, will my brother show up? Gu Si smiled sarcastically, what's the difference between me and a dead person? If you want to kill him, it's up to you. What does it have to do with me whether he comes or not? I hate your indifferent face the most. Gu Chuiyun suddenly pinched Gu Si's face and looked at the scars on her face with disgust. Her face suddenly turned ferocious. It was because Zhang Junlin wanted to investigate their life experiences that she will kill you. Lu Ziwen would rather have an ugly goosey eye than take another look at her. Isn't this face ruined enough? Why did they all choose goosey eye? End of this chapter.